With the temperatures getting warmer, that means increased chances of getting heat exhaustion and dehydration.
Jon Hennings, a nurse practitioner from the Shell Rock Clinic, is here with us this morning to talk about how to have a safe summer.
And thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Now, first, one of the things that is important is sunscreen, obviously. Can you kind of say which are some of the most effective brands, or if it matters on the brand?
Yeah, I don't know if brand matters as much as the strength of the sunscreen. So a lot of times when people go out and buy their sunscreen, they'll buy like an SPF 2 or an SPF 4. That's really not the safest screen protection you want, and that SPS stands for sun protection factor. So the higher the number, the more protection there is from the sun. A minimum should be at 15, but actually with little kids or people with fair skin, you really should be looking at a 30 or higher, and that's going to help prevent the sunburn, which is also going to help prevent some possible skin cancers later in life. So brand, not so important. Strength is what's more important.
Now, there are some people that believe that anything above a certain SPF isn't effective, like say above a 45 SPF. Is that true, or does like 100 SPF, is that like the optimal strength?
I don't know if I have the best answer for that, but I've heard those same things. Someone says, well, if I use more than a 30, it's the same as using a 30. There are some screen protections that will be thicker, especially if you put like on a straight zinc. That's going to block everything. So there's probably some truth that the higher the number, it's going to still have a little bit better factor to it, but I really couldn't tell you if that's, scientifically wise, if that's all the way true. But again, if we're looking at a minimum of 15 or 30 for most people, you're doing pretty good with your skin protection there.
All right, and how far in advance of going outside should people put on sunscreen, and how often should they reapply?
Yeah, great question. So it depends on what you're doing. You obviously want it in your skin and absorb before you're really going to go outside. And so if you're just outside doing casual stuff, yard work or going for a walk or whatever else, you're probably not going to be as sweaty, and you're probably not going to lose some of that protection. But if you're swimming, if you're doing vigorous work where you're becoming really sweaty, you're going to lose that, and you're going to want to reapply that as often as every hour to every 3 hours. Depends on how much wet or how wet you get in your workout. So it's going to depend on the activity you're doing, but more is okay. You don't want to do less. You really would like to do more to get that skin protection.
All right.
And during the summers, heat can get up to 100 degrees or higher. What are some of the symptoms of heat exhaustion?
A lot of the heat exhaustion, people will start to feel kind of shaky and tired, a lot of irritability, and then some confusion, actually. People will not be able to remember what they're doing, or maybe not remember someone's name. I mean, it will almost seem like a mild stroke-like symptoms. And when those things start, that's your clue that there's something not going on right. Along with that, if you don't get that far along into the process, but when you're going to do your stuff, you've noticed, gosh, I haven't gone to the bathroom as frequently as I normally go to the bathroom. That's a good sign that, hey, you're not putting enough fluid in, or you've lost too much fluid through perspiration, that you haven't had to use the urinary system to get that fluid out. That's another sign that you're really getting dehydrated.
Okay, and really quick, you kind of mentioned it there, dehydration, another issue. What are kind of some symptoms of that, and how can that be avoided?
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, making sure that you're drinking enough water is important. Everyone needs to drink a minimum of 64 ounces of non-caffeinated beverages. Water would be best, of course, but not everyone is a water fan. If you're a caffeine drinker, so if you drink coffee, if you drink soda pop, those kind of things, you really have to offset that with an equal amount of water. So if we have this base amount of 64 ounces of water, and then we're drinking lots of caffeine, we're going to have to add that in there. In the summer, when it's hot, when the weather is changing, you actually need to increase that amount of water. So if normally you're drinking 64 ounces of water, but now you're going to go out and do a lot of exercise or some vigorous work, you may need to double that amount of water. And again, some of the symptoms are that confusion, the irritability. Hot, red skin, but not moist. Get to the point that you can't even sweat anymore. Again, your urination is not the same. And some warning signs are, for boys it's easier maybe than girls, but you see that the concentration level of your urine is darker. Those are all signs that you're just really not putting enough water in the system.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us and giving us all these helpful hints.
Absolutely. Have a good day.